What if all the stores close tomorrow? We have electricity, the internet and food delivery. But this is a fragile system. Any global catastrophe could leave us without the resources we rely on. If stores disappear, most people will be on the brink of starvation. But it wasn't always this way. Our ancestors knew how to find food in nature, grew it themselves and preserve it without refrigeration. Today, we will explore the knowledge that can help us survive without stores, the foods you can gather in the wild, what's easy to grow, and how to store food for the long term. Nature is full of edible plants, yet most people don't realize they can eat what's growing right under their feet. Let's take a look at some wild plants that could save you from hunger. Top edible plants found almost everywhere. Nettle, a tall plant with serrated green leaves. Leaves and stems are covered in stinging hairs that cause skin irritations. Blooms with small green flowers in clusters. Where to find it? Grows in forests, along roadsides, in abandoned fields, and near bodies of water. How to eat it? Young leaves can be scalded with boiling water to remove the stinging hairs and then added to soups or salads. Can be dried and brewed into tea rich in iron and vitamins. Used in green omelets and sauces. Burdock, edible root. What it looks like? Large, broad leaves resembling elephant ears with a fuzzy underside. Blooms with purple burr-like flowers that stick to clothing. Has a long root up to 60 centimeters. Dark brown outsides and white inside. Where to find it? Grows along roadsides in wastelands and shaded areas. How to eat it? Young leaves can be cooked or added to salads. Root can be fried, boiled or roasted. Its texture resembles potatoes. In Japan, burdock, gobo, is considered a delicacy, often served with soya sauce. Plantain. Leaves are edible and used in medicine. What it looks like? A long growing plant up to 30 centimeters with broad oval leaves forming a rosette at the base. Leaves have parallel veins and slightly wavy edges. Blooms with thin stems topped with tiny flowers. Where to find it? Common along roadsides, lawns, fields, in cities and villages. How to eat it? Young leaves can be added to salads and soups, can be brewed into tea that helps with colds and digestive issues. Crushed leaves work as a natural antiseptic for wounds and insect bites. Sorrel. Sour taste, rich in vitamin C, can be eaten raw. What it looks like? Long leaves resembling spinach with a prominent central vein. Has a sour taste due to oxalic acid. Blooms with small reddish or greenish flowers. Where to find it? Grows in meadows, gardens, near rivers, and in damp places. How to eat it? Can be eaten raw, added to soups, used in sauces, and pies. Great for borscht or green soup. Excessive consumption may cause kidney issues due to oxalic acid. Dandelion. All parts of the plant are eatable. What it looks like? Bright yellow flowers that turn into white fluffy balls, long serrated leaves growing in rosette, thick brown root that is white inside. Where to find it? Grows everywhere, lawns, fields, roadsides. How to eat it? Leaves are used in salads, rich in vitamins. Roots can be dried and roasted as a coffee substitute. Flowers can be made into jam, honey, or wine. How to distinguish edibles from poisonous? Recognizing leaf and flower shapes. Many poisonous plants have bright or unusual flowers. Dangerous plants often have spotted stems. For example, hemlock. Check the smell. If a plant smells unpleasant or chemical-like, it's better to avoid it. Edibility test. If unsure, rub a small piece of the plant on your skin. If there's no irritation in 15 minutes, proceed. Place a tiny bit on your lips. If there's no burning, chew, but then don't swallow. If there's no reaction after 15 minutes, swallow a small piece. Avoid unknown mushrooms and berries. Even edible mushrooms can become toxic if grown in polluted areas. Some berries, like deadly nightshade, are extremely poisonous. Even if you don't have large fields, growing food is possible in the simplest condition. The key is to choose crops that require minimal care and produce the highest yield. Best survival crops. Even with limited space, growing food is possible on a small plot, in a greenhouse, or even on a balcony. The key is choosing crops that require minimal maintenance, while yielding the maximum harvest. Potatoes, one of the most calorie-dense crops rich in starch, thrives even in poor soils and cold climates. Can be stored for 6 to 8 months. Grains, wheat, barley, rye, essential for bread, flour, porridge, and animal feed. Wheat is high in carbohydrates, while rye and barley are more resilient to poor soils. In ancient times, grain was used as a strategic food reserve. Legumes, beans and lentils, a plant-based protein source that's easy to store and cook. Peas, beans, chickpeas, and lentils help enrich the soil with nitrogen. Can be stored dry for years. Sunflower provides not only seeds but also oil, which is crucial for cooking. Sunflower oil can be extracted by grinding and pressing the seeds. Even though press is available, the crushed seeds can be mixed with hot water, and floating oil collected works as a preservative for vegetables, meat, fish, cheese, or herbs, sealing out air and bacteria. Pumpkin, long-lasting, can be stored for up to a year without special conditions, rich in vitamins, fiber, and carotene. Pumpkin seeds are a great source of healthy fats and zinc. But once you have found or grown food, you need to know how to store it for long-term use. Our ancestors were simple but highly efficient preservation methods. Methods of food preservation: salt preservation. Salt draws out moisture and creates an environment where bacteria cannot survive. Meat and fish are either dry salted or soaked in brine before drying or storing. Vegetables, like cucumbers and cabbage, are pickled in brine to prevent spoilage. Dehydration, removing moisture, prevents bacteria and mold growth. Food can be sun-dried or dehydrated. Meats turn into jerky, fruits and berries into dried snacks. And mushrooms can last for years. Fermentation, beneficial bacteria break down sugars, producing acids or alcohol that preserves food. Used for sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, and cheese. Fermentation not only preserves but enhances nutritional value. Fat sealing, this method creates an airtight barrier. Cooked meat or fish is fully submerged in melted fat like lard, duck, or goose fat. Once the fat hardens, it prevents oxygen and bacteria from spoiling the food. Used in France for confit and in Russia for preserving meat in lard. As you can see, surviving without supermarkets isn't a myth. It's a reality. For thousands of years, people have gathered, grown, and preserved food using simple yet effective methods. These skills aren't just useful for surviving a global crisis. They can help you save money, gain self-sufficiency, and understand the fundamentals of survival. But if civilization collapsed tomorrow, would you have the knowledge to not just survive but rebuild life from scratch? Imagine a book containing all of humanity's key technologies, for growing wheat to generating electricity. How to build an oven and bake bread. How do you make a paper and record your knowledge? How do you invent bicycles, cinema, and even electricity? The book is an encyclopedia of humanity's greatest inventions and discoveries, handcrafted with illustrations that blend engineering blueprints with historical art. It isn't your key to survival and progress in any world, ours or an alternative one. Don't wait for a crisis, prepare in advance, ordering the book via the link in description. See you in the next video.